to that land, of making all that impervious now is being compacted. How is that gonna affect our aquifer? How's that gonna affect the runoff with them raising this up? It's across the street from Blue Lake, which you know is already kind of a bowl after the development around it. And the discharge from this is supposed to come my direction, which is a 95-foot drop to the lake, and both retention ponds go out that direction. And all that water is going to be coming through our property, which is a 30-plus-year-old subdivision before it goes to the lake. And so I'm really concerned about this. So I'd like to know the type of soil that's being used, so I know about the recharge, and how much they're putting in, and where it's coming from. So if you could give me some place to call to find out that information.
I think if you would give Lori Barnes a call, she might be able to help you with that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
Daniel DiBenanzo.
Good evening, Daniel.
Greetings. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, the room looks great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Not quite done. I've got the clock coming, logo, a few other things. So my name's Daniel DiBenanzo. I'm a general contractor. I'm a city of Eustis businessman, and so I just want to take a few minutes here to discuss the city of Eustis and where we're at right now. So I love ships. I've been on many ships. I've been on many seas. And I wanted to be a merchantman, but unfortunately, my wife wasn't so agreeable with that. But it worked out. The thing about ships is, now today ships are $500 million, multiple billion, and I think we have a ship here called the City of Eustis. And we are sailing right now, pretty much charted seas, but some uncharted seas. And what's happened is, recently the captain was essentially, and I want to use the right phraseology, he has left the bridge. The captain has left the bridge. So when you have a large ship, as you can understand, there's all sorts of systems. There's mechanical, electrical, plumbing, guess what? Just like a city. And there's crew, guess what? Just like a city. So typically what happens is when the captain leaves the bridge, we take one of the first officers, and most ships have multiple first officers. I don't know if you knew that. And they take a first officer to replace the captain, because that first officer is going to be familiar. He's going to be familiar with the ship, and he's going to be familiar with the crew, and he's going to be familiar with the waters that we're traveling in and any potentially uncharted hazards. So to kind of get the idea a little bit in flow, I'm like a passenger, okay? Do you know who you are? The board of the directors of the shipping company. So typically you entrust that ship to a captain, and hopefully as we go forward here, we're going to go through a vetting process like we have in the past, like other cities around us do. Because you know what? We got a multi-billion-dollar ship here. The city of Eustis is a multi-billion-dollar ship. If you ever want a numerical explanation for that, just think about the infrastructure we have here, and the roads, and the sidewalks, and the parks, and the city properties, as well as the investment of the members. So it's just, it's a critical time. I kind of want to keep this upbeat. That's why I'm using the analogy of the ship. I'm relying on the board of directors to hopefully vet, that we will vet a new captain that will certainly have the credentials, the experience. This can't necessarily just be drop somebody in, because you know what? We got something pretty unique here, and we have to go forward, and we have to have the right man at the helm. And I certainly appreciate you listening to me, and I hope the message has, there's a message within a message, right? Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Message in a bottle.
A what?
Message in a bottle.
Oh,
Put your
awesome.
ship in a bottle.
Gail Isaac Thomas.
Good evening, commissioners,
Good evening.
acting city manager, and boss. How are you all doing this evening? Happy birthday to Emily.
Thank you.
Yes, I told her. But anyway, I'm here because of the shirt that I'm wearing tonight. going to be held on October the 16th. At Malus Grand Hall right here in North Grove Street Shopping Center. Darius just pulled in. I was hoping that Mr. Howell didn't call me. But it's okay. I have tickets on sale tonight, or you can go online, Eventbrite, and use promotion code 6 and get your tickets for $10. The tickets I have tonight are $15. So you can either pay me $15 or save yourself $5. Everyone in here needs to come out. This young man, when he walks in the door, there he is. This is his 6th year having this laugh out loud, clean comedy show here in the city of Eustis. And it would be nice. We've all been locked in because of the pandemic. We all need a good laugh. Why not come out and support this young man? Like I said, he's been doing this for 6 years. If you have not been out to support him, please do now. This young man is an awesome man in this city of Eustis, doing great things. He's the only one in Lake County that is doing a comedy show. So it is worth coming to see. And his comedians that he has lined up, oh my goodness. You talking about a good laugh? Boss, you coming this time? A good laugh. So if you want a good laugh, come on out October the 16th, which is next Saturday. Doors open at 7, show starts at 7:30. And I guarantee you'll release a lot of pressure from the pandemic or any other situation that you've been going through. Come on out and have a good laugh.
Thank you, Ms.
I'm
Gale.
laughing already.
Thank you, Ms. Gale.
Have a good evening. I have tickets.
Yolanda Taylor. And I happen to have 2 forms for you. Just one enough?
She might have a lot to say, Bill.
But if you'd like to give me 2, I would definitely take that. If you see fit that I need it towards. Good evening, Commissioner Board and residents of Eustis. My name is Yolanda Stevenson Taylor, 806 Liberty Street. Once I'm done with this letter, I'll make sure that I give you guys a copy as well. So basically, to the above presiding, I'm making a request on the behalf of myself and a group of citizens who are concerned about the future of the East Town CRA area as it relates to residential, commercial business properties, all which impact the public health, safety, and morale of its residents of East Town. We are asking that the city to suspend the following as of today, Thursday, October 7th, 2021. Number 1, the Mow-to-Own program. Number 2, taking possession of the properties with code liens within the East Town CRA area. Number 3, placing retention ponds in the East Town CRA area. We are making this request at least until the said time of the city's plan for the East Town area or areas is known, and or the citizens have a city-approved plan. We are also requesting that no further funds, I'll repeat that, we are also requesting that no further funds be spent until the equity of us between East Town and downtown can be discussed. Thank you in advance for your consideration and attention to this request, that it will be the best interest for all citizens of Eustis, Florida. Thank you.
You have time to go on to your second request if you'd like.
Mr. Howard? Darius just walked in.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Lee Conger.
Hey, Lou.
Hello, commissioners, hello, mayor, and attorney and acting manager. Tonight, I'm coming to you because, for the past year, we've been talking intermittently about intelligent growth. And I would like to make a gift of a book to you tonight, and I'll be leaving this with you. This is a book by Randall Arendt. And in it, a lot of different design concepts are discussed. This is called Rural by Design, Maintaining Small Town Character. And it talks about how to accommodate for growth and keep the rural nature of communities. Some of the chapters are about scenarios for conservation and development, techniques for implementation, affordable housing, street design for rural settings, sewage disposal, requiring open space design, greenways and buffers, retaining farmland and farmers, and more. There's a lot in here. Also, coming out of the joint planning session that happened last Friday, I understand that they will be inviting Mr. Aaron to come and do a countywide workshop, so we would all benefit from learning from this man and how we can implement some of these techniques and keep the rural nature and yet accommodate for the growth that you so desperately want. So with that, thank you so much. I hope you find it useful.
Thank you, Lou.
That's all I have.
All right. Anyone else that would like to address the commission on something that's not on the agenda this evening?
It's okay.
Yes, sir, come on up. You just give us your name, please.
Hi, my name's Jeremy Brown. I'm a City of Eustis resident. I've heard a lot over the news outlets and third-party sources about, completely unrelated to the City of Eustis, a lot about what's going on in the world with supply chains, the big ships piling up in the shipyard. I hear India is like 3 weeks of emergency coal supply left in their warehouses. China is now building empty cities to maintain the flow of supply chain and keep the economy flowing. And I think something like 80%, I could be wrong on this, is just based off memory, of the world's GDP is driven by China. So that's a big number. I could be wrong. Maybe it was 20. So regardless, it's the top country in the whole world that, whose GDP drives the economy of the world. I think it was yesterday, the stock market pretty much went through the roof. I think over in UK, the price of gasoline has gone up, 6 times. It sounds like it might get worse before it gets better. I hope it does get better, because that's seemingly a potential consideration for the future that I don't wish to see. So my question is to the board, is this even being discussed amongst people of the City of Eustis? Are people aware of it? It seems like what's going to happen is the value of the dollar is going to deflate, and it's going to have a huge impact on not just Eustis, but everybody in the United States and everybody in the world. And I think it's kind of surprising that no one's even talking about it.
Thank you. That it? Anyone else that'd like to address the commission on something that's not on the agenda? Darius, come on quickly, please.
Which one?
This one, sir.
How everybody doing tonight? My name is Darius Harrison, Eustis resident. Next Saturday, October 16th, at Missoula Grand Hall, we will have a Laugh Out Loud Clean Comedy Show experience. The doors open at 7. The show starts at 7:30. The tickets, they are $15. The table of 10 is $125. But if you use the promo code 6, you'll get $5 off each purchase. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Darius. Anyone else? Not seeing any, we'll go down to our consent agenda. Commissioners, we have 3 items on the consent agenda. Is there anything anybody wants pulled for discussion? Not hearing and looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll second.
Give that to Miss Emily. We got a first and a second. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cobb?
Aye.
Commissioner Hawkins?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lee?
Aye.
Commissioner LaHoop Smith?
Aye.
Mayor Holland?
Aye. Mr. Attorney.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. Second reading of ordinance 21-10, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Eustis, Florida, amending the City of Eustis Comprehensive Plan pursuant to section 163.3184 Florida statutes, providing for the addition of a property rights element, repeal of conflicting ordinances, severability, and an effective date. Would any members of the public like to speak on ordinance 2110? Seeing none, we will close the public comment portion of this hearing.
Commissioners, before us, we have ordinance number 21-10. What's the will of our commission?
Mr. Mayor, I move for approval of ordinance number 21-10 on its second reading.
Thank you, ma'am.
I second.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cobb?
Aye.
Commissioner Hawkins?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lee?
Aye.
Commissioner LaHoop Smith?
Aye.
Mayor Holland?
Aye.
Ordinance 2115, this is the second and final reading of ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Eustis, Florida, voluntarily annexing approximately 5.2 acres of real property at the northeast corner of Eustis Road and Lake Lincoln Lane. Would anyone like to speak on this ordinance? Seeing none, the public portion of the hearing is closed.
Commissioners, before us, we have ordinance number 21-15. What's the will of this commission?
Mr. Mayor, I move for approval of ordinance number 21-15 on its second reading.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cobb?
Aye.
Commissioner Hawkins?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lee?
Aye.
Commissioner LaHoop Smith?
Aye.
Mayor Holland?
Aye.
Ordinance 2116, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Eustis, amending the City of Eustis Comprehensive Plan, changing the designation of 5.2 acres of recently annexed real property at the northeast corner of Estes Road and Lake Lincoln Lane from rural transition in Lake County to suburban residential SR in the City of Eustis. Would anyone like to speak on ordinance 2116? Yes, please approach. Thank you.
Hello again, Cindy Newton, and I live on Lake Swatera, unincorporated, Lake County. Get more pictures. I'd like you to consider what's going on the Bates subdivision as you think about these next two properties. Those pictures are from my security cameras last night. As you can see, I had bears in my driveway, coyotes at my front door, also at my side door. 2 days ago, I was working in my backyard, and a bear ran across the backyard at 10 o'clock in the morning. We've got a lot of wildlife coming from this area since we bulldozed Lake Lincoln and now the Bates area. They just don't have any place to go. And there's times in our subdivision, we've got 3-4 bears in there each evening. And it's getting a little dangerous. We've lost some cats. One of my neighbors lost some cats to the coyotes. And please think about what's going on and think about what the results are of the decisions you're making. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Newton. Would anyone else like to speak on ordinance 2116?
I've been here a while. Kathy Gonzalez, Estes Road. I just want to concur what Cindy said about these properties, about the animals. We had a coyote puppy the other night, and didn't even keep it, but it was great. And we were like, well, what else? Like Cindy, we've lost, a cat. So I protect the one I have now. She's mean as hell, so I don't think anybody's gonna mess with her. But we need to keep some of this area rural. I mean, it's the houses, it's when the bears and the coyotes come into these subdivisions, they're gonna be up here and they're gonna be complaining. And I'm not gonna feel one bit sorry for them because you're in a rural area and you're actually in a rural corridor. So we need to protect some of this as rural instead of a suburban design district, which is gonna be a nightmare. And I think your focus needs to be more in the city and these areas and, fixing them up and taking care of city residents inside the city right now. This outside is not gonna make you all any money, it's just gonna give you one big headache. So, okay, thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak on ordinance 2116? Seeing none, the public comment portion of the hearing is closed.
Commissioners, before us, we have ordinance number 21-16. What's the will of our commission?
Mr. Mayor, I move for approval of ordinance 21-16 on its second reading.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further discussion? Not hearing any, roll call, please.
Commissioner Cobb?
Aye.
Commissioner Hawkins?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lee?
Aye.
Commissioner LaHoop Smith?
Aye.
Mayor Holland?
Aye.
Ordinance 2117, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Eustis, Lake County, Florida, assigning the Suburban Neighborhood Design District designation to approximately 5.2 acres of recently annexed real property at the northeast corner of Eustis Road and Lake Lincoln Lane. Would anyone like to speak on ordinance 2117?
Cindy Newton.
Cindy Newton, Lake Laterra. And you're overseeing this kind of studied area with high recharge typing soils. And much of what remains of unique farmland in Lake County, there isn't that much left. The Bates area that was just demolished was also unique farmland, but that was not in the staff report. It was in the soil report. So you didn't know about that. These two properties, you do know, this is not only high recharge for the aquifer, but it's also unique farmland. Being in a high recharge area, it's perfect for specialty crops. Besides oranges, blueberries, that's why we have blueberry farms in that area. The microgreens that are so popular right now, big business there, perfect for this area. It's, being the high recharge, it's required by law that the after recharge for post-development is equal or similar to pre-development. And with what's going on with these properties, I don't see how that is being held. So please, think about what you're doing with this area. Our drinking water's in great danger right now. We're looking at more legislation from what they call toilet to tap, where we're gonna have to drink our reclaimed water. We're gonna have to pump it back into the aquifer because we're just running out. So, thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak on ordinance 2117? Seeing none, the public comment portion of the hearing is closed.
Commissioners, before us, we have ordinance number 21-17. What's the will of the commission?
I'll be a trifecta. Mr. Mayor, I move for approval of ordinance 21-17 on its second reading.
Thank you, ma'am.
I second.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion? Not hearing any, roll call, please.
Commissioner Cobb?
Aye.
Commissioner Hawkins?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lee?
Aye.
Commissioner LaHoop Smith?
Aye.
Mayor Holland?
Aye.
Ordinance 2118, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Eustis, Florida, voluntarily annexing approximately 4.69 acres of real property on the west side of Eustis Road, approximately 650 feet north of Bates Avenue. Would anyone like to speak on ordinance 2118? Seeing none, the public comment portion of the hearing is closed.
Commissioners, before us, we have ordinance number 21-18. What's the will of our commission?
So moved.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll second it.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further discussion? Not hearing any, roll call, please.
Commissioner Cobb?
Aye.
Commissioner Hawkins?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lee?
Aye.
Commissioner LaHoop Smith?
Aye.
Mayor Holland?
Aye.
Ordinance 2119, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Eustis, Lake County, Florida, amending the comprehensive plan, changing the future land use designation of approximately 4.69 acres of real property on the west side of Estes Road from rural transition in Lake County to suburban residential, SR, in the City of Eustis. Would anyone like to speak on ordinance 2119? Seeing none, the public comment portion of the hearing is closed.
Commissioners, before us, we have ordinance number 21-19. What's the will of our commission?
So moved.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second it.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cobb,
Aye.
Commissioner Hawkins.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lee,
Aye.
Commissioner LaHoop Smith,
Aye.
Mayor Holland.
Aye.
Ordinance 2120, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Eustis, Lake County, Florida, assigning the Suburban Neighborhood Design District designation to approximately 4.69 acres of recently annexed real property on the west side of Eustis Road. Would anyone like to speak on ordinance 2120?
Cindy Newton.
Would anyone else on ordinance 2120? Seeing none, the public comment portion of the hearing is closed.
Commissioners, before us, we have ordinance number 21-20. What's the will of our commission?
Mr. Mayor, I move for approval of ordinance number 21-20 on its second reading.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cobb,
Aye.
Commissioner Hawkins.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lee,
Aye.
Commissioner LaHoop Smith,
Aye.
Mayor Holland.
Aye.
Ordinance 2124, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Eustis, Florida, voluntarily annexing approximately .83 acres of real property located at 2959 South Grove Street. Would anyone like to speak on ordinance 2124? Seeing none, the public comment portion of the hearing is closed.
Commissioners, before us, we have ordinance number 21-24. What's the will of our commission?
So moved.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. Roll call, please.
I'm sorry, I was having a technology issue. Who
Nan
moved and who
made the
seconded?
motion and Emily seconded.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Commissioner Cobb,
Aye.
Commissioner Hawkins.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lee,
Aye.
Commissioner LaHoop Smith,
Aye.
Mayor Holland.
Aye.
Ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Eustis, Lake County, Florida, amending the City of Eustis Comprehensive Plan pursuant to 163.3187 Florida statutes, changing the future land use designation of approximately .83 acres of recently annexed real property located at 2959 South Grove Street from urban low in Lake County to suburban residential in the City of Eustis. Would anyone like to speak on ordinance 2125? Seeing none, the public comment portion of the hearing is closed.
Commissioners, before us, we have ordinance number 21-25. What's the will of our commission?
Move for approval.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cobb,
Aye.
Commissioner Hawkins.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lee,
Aye.
Commissioner LaHoop Smith,
Aye.
Mayor Holland.
Aye.
Ordinance 2126, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Eustis, Lake County, Florida, assigning the Suburban Neighborhood Design District designation to approximately .83 acres of real property located at 2959 South Grove Street. Would anyone like to speak on this ordinance? Seeing none, the public comment portion of the hearing is closed.
Commissioners, before us, we have ordinance number 21-26. What's the will of our commission?
Mr. Mayor, I move for approval of ordinance 21-26 on its second reading.
Thank you, ma'am.
Congratulations.
I'll second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cobb,
Aye.
Commissioner Hawkins.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lee,
Aye.
Commissioner LaHoop Smith,
Aye.
Mayor Holland.
Aye.
Ordinance 2127, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Eustis, Florida, voluntarily annexing approximately .26 acres of real property on the west end of West Seminole Avenue. Would anyone like to speak on this ordinance? Seeing none, the public comment portion of the hearing is closed.
Commissioners, before us, we have ordinance number 21-27. What's the will of our commission?
So moved.
We'll give the first to Nan and second to Emily. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cobb,
Aye.
Commissioner Hawkins,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lee,
Aye.
Commissioner LaHoop Smith,
Aye.
Mayor Holland.
Aye.
Ordinance 2128, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Eustis, Lake County, Florida, amending the comprehensive plan, changing the future land use designation of approximately .26 acres of recently annexed real property on the west end of West Seminole Avenue from urban low in Lake County to suburban residential SR in the City of Eustis. Would anyone like to speak on ordinance 2128? Seeing none, the public comment portion of the hearing is closed.
Commissioners, before us, we have ordinance number 21-28. What's the will of our commission?
So moved.
Thank you, ma'am.
A second.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cobb,
Aye.
Commissioner Hawkins.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lee,
Aye.
Commissioner LaHoop Smith,
Aye.
Mayor Holland.
Aye.
Ordinance 2129, ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Eustis, Lake County, Florida, assigning the Suburban Neighborhood Design District designation to approximately .26 acres of recently annexed real property on the west end of West Seminole Avenue. Would anyone like to speak on ordinance 2129? Seeing none, the public comment portion of the hearing is closed.
Commissioners, before us, we have ordinance number 21-29. What's the will of our commission?
So
Mr. Mayor,
moved.
Thank you, Willie. You want to second it, Karen?
I'll second.
Thank you so much. Any further discussion? Not hearing any, roll call, please.
Commissioner Cobb.
Aye.
Commissioner Hawkins.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lee.
Aye.
Commissioner Luke-Smith.
Aye.
Mayor Holland.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor.
Coming down now to under other business, we've got the appointment of a CRA review committee to discuss and discussion of processes. Tom?
Yes.
Good evening. So the discussion at the last city commission meeting was the need for a process to take a look at the CRA, maybe look at our vision for the CRA. And so related to that, there was discussion about the formation of a peer group or a committee. And so I believe the mayor asked commission members to bring names for people, representatives that would serve on that committee. And so happy to hear if you have some names for that committee. Also on the agenda item, a request for some direction on process. I expect this is more than just let's start a CRA meeting a half hour early and hash this out. Also probably more than just a single workshop. This is probably a multiple meeting process. Potentially could involve professional facilitation if you so choose. Certainly would be open to the public, so it would involve potentially commission, plus the appointed committee, plus the public. Again, there are a lot of options moving forward. I brought some materials with me back in 2017. So I'll go through what hard copies of what I've given you and the emailed documents that you have. But just talking about process a little bit, back in 2016, we revised our CRA plan, and along with that, we extended our CRA for another 30 years. And so that was an involved process. But then in 2017, we basically had a community meeting, a public input meeting at the library. And what we did was we invited folks to come. We put sheets up on the wall, and we kind of said, listen, this is a goal that's in the 2016 plan, but tell us what you want within that goal. Tell us what you'd like to see us accomplish. And so we hung a bunch of these on the wall, we wrote lots of ideas down, but then we gave dots to each person at the meeting. And we said, tell us what's most important to you. And then to follow up, we knew that not everybody could make that meeting. So we did an online survey and we did a hard copy survey. And we collected ideas about where to head with the CRA. And so that's just an example of something that we could do as part of this process. Just quickly, to go over what you all should have received via email and or via hard copy. I won't go through all these obviously, but maybe just highlight what you have. So back in 1990, we created the CRA. We created it through the help with the University of Florida, and our first CRA plan was from 1990. We then followed up with a couple of additional plans. This actually was done by the University of Florida, but was never approved. And this is in your packet. There's some good stuff in here, but it was technically never approved and never officially became part of the plan. That's from 2002, so that's also in your packet. In 2008, 2009, we kind of split what was one CRA, and we did both a downtown master plan with a one-page kind of marketing piece, which again is in your packet. But then we also did something specific to the ECRA. And you have in your packet a one-page marketing piece. Now, I've also included in your packet, there was a 100-slide presentation done in the community. And while this technically wasn't approved as part of the plan, this is kind of the framework of what the one-page marketing piece is all about. And so you have both the 100-slide presentation and the one-page marketing piece in your packet. And then in 2016, I mentioned that we redid the plan. That was part of a 30-year extension. Now what's interesting is in the past, all of these updates that I just mentioned were all updates to the 1990 plan. What we did in 2016 is we tried to take all of that, talk about what we'd accomplished, and said, okay, we are now replacing the 1990 plan and everything since then with the 2016 plan. And so what was different about this one is this became the new plan. It wasn't just an amendment to the old plan. And so again, you have this in your packet. And then a couple things that have happened since then related to the Sharps Park project. When Mr. DiVinanzo and the Hughesbows were looking about redoing Sharps Park, they actually paid a consultant to expand the boundaries of the CRA, because that's a very complicated statutory process. And so they did what was called a finding of necessity, showing that it met the criteria, the state criteria, and then we actually amended the 2016 plan, and we amended the boundaries of the CRA just to include about 6 new parcels, including Sharps and a couple of other parcels. And then some of the final items you have in your packet, there's kind of a collection of smaller documents. You have the results of the 2017 public meeting, the DOT exercise. We have a summary of that for you in there. Summary of the survey, both the hard copy and the online survey. We also included an analysis of East CRA versus West CRA as far as 5 years worth of expenses. And then we also, we included an analysis of what's being generated in East CRA versus West CRA as far as revenues. And then finally, you have a long list of ordinances and resolutions of everything I've just described to you. So, obviously, there's a lot of information to go through. This is information that we should be getting out to your appointed committee members. And we need to start thinking about what's the process for looking at our CRA, coming up with a vision moving forward, figuring out from the public what's wanted in the CRA, and then how we budget accordingly to accomplish what's wanted in the CRA. And so I'm happy to take the names of the committee members you have for us, and happy to start talking about process moving forward.
Karen, do you have somebody you want to appoint?
I do, but I'd really like to understand
Okay,
what they're going to do, because is it going to be a sunshine committee? Is there going to be a staff member on that committee? Is a commissioner going to be on that committee?
We're all on it.
We all are?
Yeah, because we're all picking somebody.
So we're going to sit on the committee too?
Why wouldn't we?
I was thinking this was going to be a community committee. I didn't think we were going to be a part of it.
I actually think we should be a
I
part
think
of
we
it.
should be, because I think it should be.
I think we should be a part of
The
it.
commission, yeah, I think it should be commission driven along with the community input.
Maybe
That's
as
just
an example, when a couple of years ago, the commission formed a housing committee to look at the residential rehab program.
That's right.
And I think we kind of had a table here, and I think both commission and their appointed representatives were on that. And those meetings were open to the public. That's my recollection of that committee.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to listen about what we want to do.
Eric, when does Sunshine step into the middle of this?
Yeah, if 2 or more commissioners are involved, then sunshine definitely applies. If your committee is just a fact-finding committee, where they gather facts and submit it to you, that's not subject to the sunshine. But if you're asking them to sift through ideas and make a recommendation, then they are governed by the sunshine law.
I do remember when we sat on the housing, that we fell under, the volunteers at that time fell under sunshine. Sure. So.
Sure. Let me kind of tell you what my thought process was for this. As Tom went through everything, you heard the convoluted mess that we've had for a long time of where the CRA, some people don't even know where the CRA is. Some people don't understand the functions of the CRA. There's also different dreams for different parts of the CRA. For us to be successful in spending the money and developing Eustis the way it should be, we're all gonna have to get on the same page. So that was my desire of putting this committee together, because I want everybody heard, and I really wanna focus now. You know, we're looking at redevelopment of downtown, but I've had a dream for a long time. You know, my grandparents had a grocery store out on McDonald when I was a small child. I would really love to see that business district take off. I don't know what we can do as a catalyst, but I would like to see the city be a catalyst of regrowing the business district in the East CRA. So that was my dream of putting this together. It's gonna take full community buy-in, and it's gonna take the buy-in strongly of the East Eustis community also. Because we need to know what they want, but we need to know more importantly what they will support in that district, and how we can make it happen. So that was my dream. I'm fine with us sitting as well as our community partners sitting with us, or just letting our community partners take care of it. I heard 3 of you say though that you wanted to be on it. I'm perfectly fine with that, but that's just my take on things. Willie, do you have any input of what you were thinking?
Yeah, I think that it should be commission and community.
Okay.
I think that may be the best way.
Okay. Were some of the things I talked about, some of the things you were thinking about, or?
Yeah, it's like you read my mind. You know,
Okay.
'cause I believe that as we build downtown, the natural growth is gonna be.
We have to go to the
Exactly.
east.
And, you know, and I know what was out there before, and I believe that it can be that again, so.
I agree. Nan?
Yes, I agree. I echo what you all said, and yes, I have read everything. I read every bit of it, and it's quite complicated, quite convoluted. My concern, again, was how do we grow that business district back to the way it used to be? And so one of my concerns was we see a lot of residential now. Well, then in my fact-finding mission, I found out that it's multiple, it's multiple designations, so it's allowable. So that's kind of going to be involved with the community input as well. You know, you've got houses, but then, you know, you're going to have some transition to some businesses. So, you know, I like the idea of that huge involvement and that conversation. And I've got a lot more to say about that, but I'll wait till we have a workshop, if you will, or, you know, whatever you want to call it, because I read this entire thing in depth, and and I went to print off everything that Tom sent me the last go around, and I didn't realize the one ordinance was 225 pages. But it's quite in depth, so I'd like to see us all, you know, sit on that together and work on that together as a community and a commission, and the committee as well, and move forward.
All right. Ms. Emily?
I agree with everything that's been said. The only concern I have is how, I don't feel like I'm ready to appoint someone or select someone until we have a clear direction as to where we're going and what we want them to contribute to it or us to contribute to it. But I certainly think it's good for us to be together with the community in making these decisions.
Karen, does that help you any, listening to all of us? No?
You know, I still feel it needs to be the community without commission sitting there. But you know what? It's the will of the commission.
And I think it's important that when, you know, if we're able to do it with community and commission, that the community see us as, you know, equals. I mean, just talk to us, you know, as opposed to us, you know, thinking that we're gonna make decisions right then and there. That, you know, it's just exchange of ideas.
If I may, I mean, maybe this process is a little bit of both, and by that, what I mean is the 2017 public input meeting with the dot exercise, that was not a commission meeting. Commissioners actually didn't speak at that meeting. It was the public putting the ideas on the board and the public telling us what was important to them. And so maybe this process is a little bit of both, maybe more formal setting with commission and the committee, combined with public meetings where we're getting public input, and there isn't that intimidation of it being an official city commission meeting. So maybe there's a way to work to get public input, make people feel comfortable in kind of a workshop type setting, but also have a structured process with the committee and the commission.
We can do that just as long as it's advertised, right, Mary? If we all, as long as it's advertised, but we can all be there, like the dot
If
exercise.
you're all there, we have to run it like a workshop. It has
Okay.
to be, well, it doesn't have to be recorded, but it should be recorded.
It should be.
We would have to have minutes. It has to be, noticed,
Yeah,
just like
that's just how formal we
And
are.
my recollection of that 2017 public input meeting, there were multiple commissioners there, but again, it wasn't a commission meeting, and they weren't necessarily, the commission was there to listen.
Correct.
All right, I think that gave you some direction. I would like to ask everybody to give Tom their names. They don't have to tonight, at least by the end of the day tomorrow. That way we can at least get those committee members this big packet that Tom gave us, and so they can start looking at it. Because like you said, there were things that were talked about that were never adopted. There were things that were adopted, but we need to refocus everything. Times have changed.
Yeah.
Our community's changed, and we need to take a good hard look at it.
And you may have a couple more documents coming your way. One of the resolutions from 1995 adopted a waterfront plan, and I couldn't find that. Actually, Lori Barnes found a copy of that, and so I need to probably get that distributed.
Electronically is fine
I
with me.
can send it out electronically, but I would like to say, because of what we did in 2016, which was the replacement, it doesn't have any effect or any force anymore. So it
Sure.
speaks to what we were trying to do, but it isn't part of the current plan.
Okay.
And so, but we'll pull those couple things still outstanding.
I will tell you though, it has a lot of merit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It has a lot of merit, and,
absolutely. And it talks about the lake walk before we had the lake walk, and it was kind of the impetus for moving forward with the lake walk.
Perfect, that give you enough direction?
I think it does.
All right, and if we could just maybe by 4 o'clock tomorrow, get names to Tom if you haven't already done so, please. Thank you, Tom.
Okay, thank you.
And the next one is direction on negotiating an agreement with Atrium Management Team.
Yes.
Tom, you're gonna help handle that for us, aren't
Yes.
you?
So as you know, we brought actually a couple of draft agreements to City Commission previously. There was a motion to approve, but it died for lack of a second. When I came back to commission last meeting, I got direction from commission. I basically threw out two possibilities: continue to negotiate with the Atrium team, or start working on a process for reissuing the RFP. The direction staff received from the commission was, at this point, to continue negotiating with Atrium. And so starting to move forward with that process. However, I need some feedback, because we can bring the agreement that we already brought to you back, which would not accomplish anything because it's already not moved forward. And so what I would like to do is to ask what are issues that came up as part of the first two agreements? What are issues that you may have had with the conceptual site plan? Basically, my request is if staff is being asked to continue to negotiate with the Atrium, we need to know what those issues are so that we can negotiate those items. And so, for example, there was discussion about parking being reserved in the Lake Mechanical parking lot. That came up several times. There were issues with timeline. There were questions of ownership style, where condominiums or townhomes versus apartments. There were also questions about financials, corporate financials, more information on financials for the development team. And so those are just some of the things I heard over the course of several meetings and at the public meeting. And so what I'm asking for is what are specific things that you would like staff to start working on? And so I met with the commissioner, and I have some ideas on specific things that that commissioner would like worked on. So I am willing to listen tonight if you have issues that you'd like to speak to tonight. I'm also willing to meet one-on-one with the commissioners to hear individually what those items might be. You have representatives of the Atrium team here tonight. I think they're also willing to meet with commissioners to discuss issues. And so what we're asking is how can we modify those agreements so that it's palatable and we can move towards approval. And so, again, I'm happy to listen tonight. I'm happy to schedule individual meetings or happy to schedule meetings with the development team.
You want to start us off?
Okay, you missed one of mine. I have a I guess I feel pretty passionate about giving away the property art, and I feel like I would prefer a lease, and that was missed, and I'd like that to be considered. I also would like townhomes, and I'd like to know more about the financials as we requested, and settle the parking issue. Those are mine.
That's yours?
Yes.
Karen, I know you made the motion. You're good with the way
I'm
it
good,
was.
yeah.
Okay, you're good. Go ahead.
No,
Anything?
I don't,
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. Nan?
I'd like to set up a time and talk to you. Thank you. I'll call
Billy?
you tomorrow.
And I've already had a conversation with him, but
And I've had a little bit of one, and I would like to follow up with him. This is the one I would like to ask you, again, if you don't mind, to sit in with negotiating once Tom puts everything into a format. I know you've had some conversations with Adam and the group, and let's just see where we can go, if that's okay with you.
it's okay with me.
Okay? That give you what you need on that one, Tom?
Yes, it does.
All right, sir. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
All right, we're coming down now to appointment of acting city manager. Mr. Howe, are you gonna take this, or?
I will take this for the time being,
Well, that's pretty open-ended.
for the time being.
Wait a minute, you have to make a decision.
The last commission meeting, the city approved a recommendation to have me serve as acting city manager until October 15th, October 15th. It's now time for the commission to determine who's gonna be interim. From whatever date you select, you can change my date at any time until we complete a search for a new city manager. I gave you a brief staff report. You need to make a decision. The other thing I'll tell you is once you have a name that you agree with, then also an appropriate salary. And as the staff report indicated, city policy currently says employees that are elevated in a temporary position are entitled to a 10% wage increase. The staff report also mentioned the last time we went through this, Diana Kramer also saw an increase. I discovered there's a mistake in that amount. She did not receive, her acting rate was $125,000, but it was done in 2 different times. She had a 10% increase at one meeting on August 28th that the commission approved, and 2 months later, another increase of approximately 10% that took her to the 125. So that's just for your information is all.
And are you willing to sit here longer than the 15th?
16.
And I have to put that on public record.
16?
Any desire, Bill?
My desire is really for the commission to unify around a candidate to serve for 6 months until the commission unifies around a city manager.
If this commission unifies around you tonight, would you be willing to serve longer than the 15th?
My concern is I expressed to some of you, is really my ability to commit what I know will need to be done for my benefit to complete this job. You also have a task moving forward of how you're gonna decide to select the city manager.
Okay.
I don't have any bench strength filling in my position in HR. That's my concern.
And that is one of probably the most important positions in the city at this point.
Don't
is
tell the
HR.
fire chief that.
Well, you know how it is. All right, let's have a discussion back on the commission side. Karen, do you want to bring somebody forward?
No, absolutely, be glad to.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Carino.
Okay. Miss Emily?
I agree.
Willie?
I agree.
Nan?
Sure.
I'm gonna say, Tom, will you accept the position as acting city manager?
Yes.
All right, sir. Congratulations and thank you.
Mayor, would you also like to discuss salary?
Yes.
What was the question?
Salary, we need to discuss salary.
Can I ask why Diane's went up twice in a couple of months?
So I wasn't there, but I went back and read briefly city commission meeting minutes. The first was in compliance with city policy that was 10%. Then a couple months later, there was a decision that they were gonna hold off on the selection process for several months, and at that point, it was raised to the 125.
It took so long.
It took longer.
Okay.
It took longer, so they just bumped it up.
So now we're talking about 10%.
So that puts policy at this point.
Policy at this point
Policy is
is,
10%.
But we could
for
go
any
more.
other position that we've done that for has been 10%.
And let's
But that's, again, the will of the commission.
My question would be, 10% brings him into what range of, how close would he be to what the city manager's pay was?
If we're talking specifics, 10% would increase him to 125,784. City manager was at approximately 156, if I remember,
And Diane was at 125.
in 2015.
And he's gonna continue to do both jobs.
Yes.
You're gonna have
To the best of his
Yes.
ability.
Mhm.
I would like to recommend 135.
I would too.
I agree.
I agree.
Karen,
Thank you.
okay with that? Okay. Tom, are you okay with that, sir? I hate doing this in public, but
I hate it
unfortunately,
in
that's the way we
public.
do things. All right, sir, thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
All right. Thank you so much. Now, city. No.
To clarify, this is effective tomorrow?
This is effective the 15th. Okay.
Thank you very much for your,
That's just because you didn't take it.
That gives time for you all to work some things out
Yeah.
as you make the transition, if you don't mind. Then city manager selection process, Bill, I know you have sent us some stuff.
I did, you've got a brief staff report, goes through some of the options available to the city briefly. The selection of the city manager takes 3 votes. So at some time, through whatever process you choose, you need to come together and determine who the city manager is. It is commonplace, it has been the practice of the city, at least for the last 2 processes, select the lead manager, to use an executive search firm. I provided you information from both those searches. I also provided you information from Mount Dora and Claremont on their current searches that are underway. There are obviously some advantages to use an executive search firm. That would be their expertise, their experience in hiring, in some cases, hundreds of city or county managers. There's also an expense. I was surprised the last process cost us approximately what Mount Dora and Claremont are paying now, $25,000.
Yeah.
To do that. It will be less work on staff and the commission because they will take whatever it is we want them to do. That's again up to the commission. They may be a little less flexible than if it were done internally. I will tell you that I think there's been some discussion about doing it internally. I can tell you I've certainly hired over my career thousands of employees. I have not hired a city manager, and that would be one of the concerns that I think the commission would have to address, is why we don't use consultants. I think one of the concerns with the commission is the length of time to do this. If the commission's will is to go with a search firm, I think we could expedite the process in terms of getting proposals in, getting those presentations to the commission in the near future. Meeting after next would be my guess, early November. There would be some time that I'd recommend I spend with you individually, unless you'd like to schedule a workshop. Never mind, I assume you'd prefer me to meet with you individually. about what, the basics, and I've got for each of you, just, I'll pass it on and give it to you before you leave. This was the qualifications for the last process. It's up to the commission, but there are some clear things that need to be identified. Do you want a seasoned city or county administrator with some experience? Are you willing to look at assistant actings or department heads? What's your will? And that'll either need to be communicated to me if we keep it inside, or to a consultant coming in from outside. So there's still work ahead. It's not as simply as saying we're gonna hire this, give this to a consultant. So I don't know what comments or questions you may have. There was a lot of information that maybe some of you read.
I know I had the conversation with you about keeping it in-house and trying
Yep.
to do it. I know it's a restraint. I know, you've got a lot on your plate. We've got union negotiations, you've got trying to keep everything else afloat. So I think that for the well-being of the city, I think going to one of these firms would be the best thing after I've looked over everything and what you sent out. Just my opinion. 25,000 in really the grand scheme of things is a very low amount of money to pay. You know, I will tell you that I did not enjoy our last process with the Waters Group. It was, to me, it was just a fiasco the whole time. That was my opinion, that's what I felt through it. I know Karen had gone through that with us, and I know Mary, I think, could attest that it was testy at times. So, but I think that that's our best, is to go ahead and let's find a group and get on with it, and let's get the process going.
I agree.
Really?
Yeah, I agree. I think we should have someone else to do it.
I concur.
Karen?
You know, Bill plays himself down so much,
I know.
but he does the standing on his head.
I know, he could do it, I know.
He could do it, but I think in my brain, I'm thinking it's hard to hire your own boss.
Yeah.
And I feel that a group would be our best bet.
Okay, Emily?
I agree.
Okay.
So I'll meet with each of you sometime over the next week to get some ideas together, bring that back at the commission meeting to move forward as suggested. And again, we can do, doesn't need to be a formal RFP that goes out and sits on the street for a week. We can make some calls as long as we've got information that we distribute.
If we could get around the RFP process, I think it will shorten the time limit, that if we put it in the hands of someone. But, you know, we need to make sure it's done properly. So, everybody in agreement?
Yes.
Karen?
I just don't want to miss someone who might be waiting, well, but you never know. Okay, yes, that's fine.
Okay. Talk to Bill and we'll
Yeah.
get it worked out. You know, because I know Mount Dora is working on a contract right now for their new city manager.
Yep.
Right.
Knowing Mount Dora's politics, I don't know if they may have discarded somebody that could be really good also. And in Claremont, I think they're very close, if they haven't already found somebody. You know, you've got people that are already looking at Lake County.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I think
My
we should,
understanding is Claremont has made a final decision.
have they made a final
They were
decision?
right there,
Yeah.
So,
according to the clerk.
I think we're in a good spot right now where we've got people that are focused on Lake County and may want to be here.
And some of the dynamics.
Yeah, so, thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Future agenda items. Ms. Karen, anything for a future agenda item?
No, I don't have anything.
Nothing? Man, anything for a future agenda item?
Well, I had talked about it last commission meeting, and I don't know, Mr. Schroth, if you've had a chance to look into that situation.
Yeah, we actually, the firm represented the Sharps family in that transaction, so we have all that information. There's lots of non-conforming issues. There are violations of setbacks, there are violations and encroachments in right-of-way. There are a lot of issues with Sharps Mobile Home Park.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
I
if,
knew there were.
there are a couple ways we can go about it, and most of those are public record. You can just take a look at an aerial and see some of the setback issues they have. They've also had other issues as well.
I have.
And so we can apprise the seller to disclose those as part of a transaction. Now, whether the seller does or not, that's up to the seller, but we
Can that be recorded at all?
We have to worry about slander of title potentially.
No, and I know, so I want to be careful, but at some point, if you're paying $4 million for a piece of property, you need to know what you're getting into, and it needs to be disclosed. And I don't want to continue to have what we have.
Absolutely.
And can you pull the county into this? Because part of that conforming issue is, and encroachment is with the county.
Correct.
And actually, Mr. DiVincenzo.
I can contact the county attorney and see if they also want to join in on that disclosure, but as far as the obligations are concerned, I mean, the city could disclose it to a potential buyer, but under a commercial setting, it's actually a buyer beware under common law, that a buyer of commercial property, although these things should be disclosed by law, they're not required to be. So the seller may not do that. However, we don't have any prohibition on disclosing that to a potential buyer, of course, provided it's true, and it is true. So we have that option as well, if you want to go that route. Happy to do whatever the commission would like.
I would like to see us do that, because I just, it has so much potential, and when it was sold the last time, I mean, Mr. DiVincenzo tried, and we knew what he was going to do with the property, and so when it didn't work itself out, then the new owner now, we all would have liked to have been maybe under the impression, I hate to assume, that it would have been developed, and it was not, and we're still sitting with that there. And in looking at the CRA and all that paperwork I combed through, believe it or not, part of that CRA was for us to have purchased the property and make that an extension of Ferrum Park. And so when you looked at that whole, and that's part of the discussion, for the workshop, but it was quite impressive.
Yeah, and there was a lot of interest in purchasing sharps. At
Yes.
the time, though, the timing of the market was really high, and so
I know.
unfortunately, that opportunity was missed, and then this last sale was sort of distressed based on circumstances.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to disclose that if the majority of the commission wants us to go that route.
Well, are you good with disclosing it?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
Karen?
I need to make sure I understand, because maybe I missed something. Is this if a potential buyer comes to Eustis they looking to purchase Sharps Park, and they come to City Hall, that we would disclose the discrepancies?
How does that process work, Derek?
Yeah, I think you want to take a more proactive approach, that if a buyer were interested, that we would disclose to the buyer all of the current facts as we know them.
And we would
I think that's
know,
is that correct?
That's what I would like to see.
how would we know if a buyer?
That's a good question.
How would we know?
Yeah, is it currently listed?
That,
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I believe it is. MLS?
No.
I saw it on Crexy, a real estate website.
We'll look into that to see exactly if it's on MLS, if it's for sale. And we can also apprise the seller, and if there's a broker involved, the broker, that it's our intention to disclose
Okay.
the numerous issues with that property.
Thank you.
So does that work for majority of the commission?
It's fine.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Anything else for a future agenda item? Willie, anything for a future agenda item?
I'd like to have a conversation about getting a grant writer.
Bill, can you place that on the next agenda, please?
Thank you. Believe it or not, that was part of all the paperwork.
Yes.
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 Anything else, Willie?
Nope, that's it.
Karen, anything for a future agenda item, ma'am?
No, I don't have anything, thank you.
Miss Emily?
Yes, back to the cemetery, I want to know, I had requested information and how we might be able to bring it into the real world with the technology and all that's missing, and I haven't heard anything on that.
That was in this year's budget to
Yeah.
purchase the equipment.
Okay.
You just started your budget October 1st, so
Well, I
it'll
want
take
to
them
know
time to get that stuff
They are.
done.
I had a conversation with Rick Garrett.
Okay, I want to make sure they do that. And then I asked for information about the mode to own lease. We're going to talk about that, but I would like to know more about the past history of it.
And I think Lori Barnes responded to an
Yes,
email placed
yes,
on the
she's
agenda
going
of the
to
commission
provide
to
it,
put down in
yes.
future.
But I'd like it before the meeting, not the day of. I'd like it prior to, so we can look at
It should
it.
be included as part of the agenda packet, is her plan.
Right.
So you would get it the Friday before.
Okay, All right,
Okay.
I'm good.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right, then. All right, Mr. Manager.
Nothing.
Anything on the meeting?
I'm gonna do that in my wrap-up, my
Okay,
friend.
all right, great.
Nothing, sir? Mr. Attorney?
Just one item, the Spence TF issue, you saw the correspondence going back between the lawyers, and they asked for a meeting with us and staff. We can either participate in that meeting or decline and see how they proceed over the next couple of months. My suggestion is, we meet with them to hear what they have to say. They've now expressed an intention, I think, to go back to the contractual terms, although they've raised issues with the environment. They put in their last correspondence that those issues that they've raised will not necessarily prevent the development as they proposed it before.
So when you bow up and walk out on us, you're
And
really
give
not
it back
bowing up
to
and
us.
walking out on us.
Well, that's an issue that we've preserved. I think the interpretation, as you saw in my letter, was that the gentleman terminated the
Yeah.
contract,
He did.
said you can have your own property, and walked out at a public meeting. We've preserved that by saying, we thought you terminated. So
Mhm.
then there was a retraction from the lawyer. So
Lawyer didn't say it.
the lawyer did not say that.
No, he wasn't here.